Let's predict the NFL playoffs before the season even begins. So today we're going to go ahead and predict the NFL playoffs and say who's going to win the AFC, who's going to win the NFC, and who will win the Super Bowl. There has been a lot of free agent acquisitions in the offseason, so there's a lot of teams that look a lot better than they did last year, and one team for sure is the Denver Broncos. So let's get into it. In the AFC East, I easily have New England taking the division once again, as I feel they are a strong team. They have Tom Brady. I mean, you really can't talk much about them. You just know they're a good team. They added Darrelle Revis. I'm not like, wow, this guy's a great corner. He's a good corner, but I don't put him in that elite category. But I will say they also added Brandon Browner. So I easily have them winning the AFC East. I'll talk about my wild cards after I say who I believe is going to win the divisions. AFC North, I almost feel like it's going to be like the three teams that are in it are easily Baltimore, Pittsburgh, and Cincinnati, but Cleveland is a team that you kind of have to look at and you're like, maybe they could do something, maybe they can make a run, but who really knows? I don't feel like they're ready for a playoff run yet. If I had to say who wins the AFC North, I don't think it's going to be the Bengals. It would be down between Pittsburgh and Baltimore, but I'm going to have to go with Baltimore. I feel like they are a strong unit, and I feel they can go ahead and win the division, but I do feel that Pittsburgh will be able to win the wild card. Move to the AFC South, we have the Colts, Titans, Jaguars, and Texans. The Texans, I eliminate already. I don't see them making the playoffs, but I could be very, very surprised. Now with Jacksonville, they're a team that might be an underdog. I don't know if they'll win the division because, the Colts are a strong team, and I think they'll take the division. But that's a team that everybody should keep a lookout for. As the Jacksonville Jaguars, I mean, they got Blake Bortles. They have a good team over there. They have Gus Bradley. They picked up Chris Clemens. Man, I don't even want to talk about these acquisitions because obviously I'm a Seahawks fan, and I really loved Chris Clemens along with Red Bryant. I think even Clinton McDonald went to the Jaguars as well. But I have the Colts winning the division. And so yeah, that's who's going to win the AFC South in my honest opinion. We go to the West. So now there's three teams that all went there from the AFC West, which were the Broncos, Chiefs, and Chargers. The Chargers are a good team. Do I think they can make a playoff push? Possibly, but this is who I believe is going to win the AFC West. I believe Denver's easily got the West. They added so many good players. I believe they got Aqib Talib. They got DeMarcus Ware. There's a lot of acquisitions that I can name off. They also lost a key part in Eric Decker, so he was a key to that offense, and he's going to be someone that's going to be missed. So for my wild card predictions, I had the Steelers just a moment ago, but I'm not sure. I feel like the Steelers, the Jaguars, and the Chargers, and even the Chiefs. The Chiefs, so I have my fifth wild card spot, or sixth, however that works. I have the Chiefs winning the wild card. Moving on, I have them also going into the playoffs, so I have one spot. I have Jaguars, Steelers, or the, Chargers. Who will it be? I'm going to go ahead and pick. I want to say a random pick because, I'm not really too positive who's going to do it. But I'm going to say the winner of the wild card, the second wild card spot, is going to be the Steelers. I'm going to say the Steelers are going to be the other wild card spot that will move on. So that's for the AFC. That's who I believe is going to move on in the AFC. Let's move on to the NFC. So here we have the Philadelphia Eagles, Dallas Cowboys, the Giants, and Redskins here in the NFC East. So to begin with, the Washington Redskins had a terrible year last year. Losing Robert Griffin was a big deal, and that was the main reason why they lost many, many games. I feel like that was a big deal, but also there was just a lot of problems. Their point differential was humongous. Didn't have the greatest of defenses last year. But let's get into it. I'm going to take the Eagles to win this division. They won it last year, and I believe they will win it again this year. So to move on to the NFC North, we have the Packers, Bears, Lions, and Vikings. Do I think the Vikings in their current state could possibly move on to a playoff contender spot? I don't think so. They need to bulk up their defense because, they had a horrible year on defense last year. So I'm just going to have to say that Minnesota's eliminated from the equation. Detroit, I don't think so. I think Green Bay will take it again and win the North. So I believe that the Eagles and the Green Bay Packers will move on so far from the East, the Eagles, North, Green Bay Packers. Now we have the Panthers, Saints, Falcons, and Buccaneers. Now the Buccaneers is a team that got a lot of acquisitions. They acquired a lot of players, and they're not a team to just be like, oh, they're not going to do anything this year. I think they can do something. And also, I just remembered the Oakland Raiders. They picked up a lot of key acquisitions, and I think they could do something as well. But in the NFC South, I have the New Orleans Saints moving on and taking the South spot. So move on to the NFC West. And I'm pretty sure you already know my prediction. I'm obviously going to be picking the Seattle Seahawks. We lost a lot of guys. We lost Golden Tate, Clinton McDonald, Bruno Giacomini, Brandon Browner, Walter Thurman. There's so many players, I don't even know how I could explain them all. There's even ones that I'll probably leave out. And one good thing was obviously extending Richard Sherman and then extending Earl Thomas, Michael Bennett. So we got a key part. Basically, everybody, the Legion of Boom, is really good, and I think our defense is going to even be better this year. Even though we lost a lot of acquisitions, I still think we're going to be doing really well on defense, and I think our offense will really step it up, and I think people around the whole entire United States realize that Russell Wilson is an elite quarterback. Because as a person who watches the Seahawks a ton, all the game, I watch a ton of the Seahawks games. I've watched games for such a long time. As a guy who watches the games, I can tell you that we are a team that is good, and Russell Wilson is a key part to that. Our defense, and it's a team effort. We have every single position is good. The only position that we have a problem with is the offensive line. I feel like Unger's good, Okung's good out there when he's on the field and not injured. But let's move on to the wild card spots. To the wild card, we have the Cowboys, Giants, Redskins, Bears, Lions, Vikings, Panthers, Falcons, Buccaneers, Niners, Cardinals, and Rams. So they're all good teams. And I feel like possibly that this year is going to be, once again, obviously I feel that the Niners will go back to the playoffs. But one other team that I think is going to the playoffs, I almost feel like Arizona. I could see them winning the second wildcard spot. They're a good team, and obviously they beat us here in Seattle. That was a tough game to watch, tough pill to swallow. I think we had 4 interceptions on that day and lost the game. It was tough. There's some questionable calls, but it doesn't really matter. So I'm going to go ahead and say that 3 NFC West teams are going into the playoffs. The Seahawks, Niners, and Cardinals. So those are my predictions. I want to know your predictions. What do you believe is going to happen? Who's going to win their divisions and whatnot? I'm going to move on now to my next video, which will be my Super Bowl predictions. And I think you probably know who I'm going to pick. But I'm going to tell you maybe a few things that might or may not happen. It might be a rematch of the Super Bowl. There's a lot of things that can happen over this next year in the NFL. I really, I'm going to go ahead and make it in this video. The Super Bowl predictions is a rematch. I feel the Seahawks and the Broncos will go back at it again. And I feel that, the record of the Seahawks, if the Seahawks want to get back to the Super Bowl, they got to go 13-3. That's just all there is to it. And if you guys know why I'm saying that joke, is because each time they were 13-3, they went to the Super Bowl. Back in 2005, they were 13-3, beat the Panthers to move on to the Super Bowl, which got robbed. But it's not something I want to talk about. But I do feel the Denver Broncos may or may not be the best team in the NFL in the win-loss category. But at the same time, I think the Seahawks will get a bye. I think the Denver Broncos will get a bye. And I'm really hoping that this is a good year, good NFL season for the Seahawks. I'm really not sure how they're going to play out. Obviously, we lost a lot of good players. And, any player from the Seahawks was great because, it was a team effort. And John Schneider has done a great job. Pete Carroll has done a great job. And I'm just pumped for this new and 2014 NFL season. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave me a like, a comment, and